Hi, everyone. Good afternoon or good morning, wherever you're at in the world, in our little bunkers. Thank you for joining us today. Today we're going to be doing, I think, the final TeamRaiser webinar we had planned for this year, and it's all about how to run reports in TeamRaiser. It's kind of a basic overview, but a good refresher, hopefully. And we're happy to answer any specific questions you have as you go. So feel free to ask your questions in the chat feature in the control panel, and we will answer those along the way or at the end. But let's go ahead and jump right in now. My name is Mark Becker. I'm the founding partner of Cathexis Partners, and we've been doing this for about 12 years now, and we were virtual before it was cool. We've been virtual the entire time. That helps keep our overhead down and allows us to support folks from all over, really all over North America into Central America in some cases. We've done a few projects in Europe to date, but and always interested to help out those if we can be of value. But we really help nonprofits use technology to raise funds and engage supporters effectively and affordably. That's a lot of words just to say. You have products like Blackbaud that are very robust, great, complex products, and we can help you make the most out of them and get your money worth out of them. So for this session today, I am now going to hand it off to, before I do, I want to say, again, please, this is going to be recorded, so if you have audio issues, but you can't hear me now, but if you want to share it with your coworkers or review it later on, we will be sending out the link later on. And again, feel free to ask any questions you have along the way, and we're happy to address those. Without any further ado, I'm going to hand it off to Andrea.
Hi, everybody. Thanks, Mark. I'm Andrea Fleischer. I've been working with Mark and the team here at Cathexis Partners for a bunch of years now, and before that had experience working within nonprofit organizations doing in a role similar to what many of you may be holding as a role within your organization to manage digital campaigns and do outreach and also do analysis on your campaigns, fundraising, and outreach. So I'm happy to be with you here today. And there are probably a few people in the audience whom I've worked with before, so I'm glad you're here. This presentation, we are here today to do TeamRaiser reporting. And I assume that all of you are here because you use the TeamRaiser product for some peer-to-peer campaigns, and you probably don't look at it all year round, but I'm guessing you open it kind of seasonally, and sometimes it's hard to get your head back in the game if it's been 6 months or a year since you've looked at it. Some of you might be totally new to the platform. So in this hour, we are going to, I'm going to show you places in the Luminate Online product where you can go to get your TeamRaiser data, essentially. So we're going to break that down into sections, hope to demystify it, make it easy for you, and show you what's where. So why do you need to know how to run reports in TeamRaiser? Why would you want to get good at this? Well, your job might require it. There are sometimes very straightforward needs, like maybe your event uses t-shirts, and I'm probably going to use that t-shirt example a lot this hour because it's very common, although there are other types of data you'd be collecting too. But if you're collecting t-shirt sizes, at some point you need to place that order and you need to distribute the shirts and all that. So obviously you'd need to know how to output and get that list. And then also for some strategic reasons, like your peer-to-peer campaign is part of your organization's digital strategy, and you want to be able to see how successful it is and measure the engagement and look at some year-to-year growth and retention. So With that, this format today is, I will show you, we're going to switch between this deck and the actual Luminate product. And I'll be showing you how to get around and do some of these things. So the first thing I want to tell you about is the TeamRaiser status tab. This is kind of a hidden gem that I don't know, some of you may know about. This is found when you go into the TeamRaiser product and click Manage and click on Status. And it's a one-page dashboard that shows you your event statistics at a glance. So if you're monitoring it and you want to see what, how many participants and teams you've got and all that, this is a place that you can see some of those key performance indicators that you might need to track. So let me share this screen here, and to show you how we get into this, we'll go to fundraising, TeamRaiser, and beside your event, you want to click on Manage in that Actions column. And the Status tab is all the way over here on the right. I like to say they save the best for last over here. And this is what that Status tab looks like. So if you haven't already been using this, you might want to start to glance at this more. A great thing here is if your campaign is associated with a previous event, like you ran the same thing last year, it will compare this year to last year, so you can see the progress there. And then another bonus,
I think it's a really valuable kind of quick look at kind of dashboard view of where you're at with your campaign. So I think it's pretty helpful.
Yeah, I agree. And I think a big takeaway here is you don't need to run a report necessarily to see how many teams and participants you have. These numbers, by the way, they're accurate, usually within a 5 to 10 minute time frame. Sometimes they update instantly, and sometimes you'll know that a transaction was just logged and you won't see it. So never panic if there's a little delay. I think that's just server caching and stuff. You can also grab links here. If you need to, let's say, grab that link to this is the official clean link to your donation form or your main event page or these other things. So there's my plug for the status tab. So going back to the presentation, couple other main places where you can get TeamRaiser data are in Reports Classic and Report Writer. So let's go on and talk about Reports Classic first. Reports Classic, this is a place where I often nickname this the canned reports, right? We call it that because each one is different and they're all kind of ready to go. And a lot of organizations find that they can get most or all of their needs met from Reports Classic. So especially for folks who are new using TeamRaiser, I always suggest to start here. And if you're looking at all these report titles and not sure what you need, check the descriptions. They pretty much tell the story of what you're going to get from each report. If you're looking for those t-shirt sizes, the key phrase that you want to look for is additional questions. And you see that in a few of these. Whenever they say responses to additional questions, that's the jargon that refers to those questions that you're asking in certain participation types when they register. So let's talk about that some more. Where can you find Reports Classic? And I will demo this, but it's under Data Management, and then you click Reports, and then you scroll partway down and there's a TeamRaiser folder. You need to click to expand that. And again, these are the canned reports. And as far as a level of effort to run these are easy. They're fast, they're easy to run. It takes just about no effort to get what you need from here to set them up. And the data is in real time. The trade-off for all that ease of use is in this tool, this is not where you can customize or save anything. So you get what you get with these reports. There's a little asterisk on that. You can filter some of the output, so I'll show you that. But there are a few different types here. There's a TeamRaiser comparison report, which if you've run several events, that's great because it compares the fundraising statistics across your events. It gives you useful detail on the monetary numbers. Sometimes the finance department is happy to receive that because they can sort of check the books against it. And yeah, so that's the TeamRaiser comparison report. And then there's some other ones: participant registration, participant performance. The event check-in report is great if you're doing an in-person event, which I know we're not really doing much of in 2020 or 21, but that report is designed well for day of when people are walking up to your table. And there's a team summary report. So we'll take a look and try one of those out. And we can find those under Data Management, Reports. And this is where we scroll down a bit to TeamRaiser Reports. And there's that list. So these are all the reports. So if you're looking at this list and trying to figure out what you need, I say it never hurts to just run some. All it takes is a few minutes of your time, and it's a good way to learn, I think, what the output looks like. For this one, I think I will show you the TeamRaiser comparison report. So like I said, there is a bit of customization you can do here. This is going to give me roll-up numbers. So I'm going to select a set for this one because the instance I'm in is it has a lot of TeamRaisers. You might not. You might have just a handful of 1 or 2 or 5 or 10, but this one has a bunch. So I'm going to, let's see, I'm going to do this based on type. We're using event types, and we have one called 5K Music Walk. I don't know what that is, but it sounds fun. So you could filter by date range, but I don't want to do that. Don't need to. So when you get to the end here, it will ask for a label for this report, and that's optional. In fact, I don't usually fill it in because it will automatically, the system will give it a name and a timestamp. So you don't usually need to bother with that. Let's click Submit. Okay, so now I'm at my report results. So I see that my report is the first one in this chart here, and the status is queued. So let's, the next step here. Nothing's going to happen unless you refresh the page. So let's click that green refresh button. Now it's complete. Okay, so 7 rows. Let's view that. So when you view in Report Classic, it displays a chart here for you. You can't sort here, but it's pretty legible, and you might need to scroll over. And the view here generally includes all or most of the data, and I'll get to that in a second. So at a glance, I can look here and I can see, okay, these are all my events here. These are test events. They don't really have real data in them. That's why the numbers are so low. And hopefully yours will be a whole lot higher. But you could see how many registrants were in each one, broken out by active and inactive. You can see how much was paid in fees. You can see what was done in online fundraising, offline fundraising. They break it down to offline and online. They break out all these different aspects of the transaction, like is it confirmed or unconfirmed? They tell you how many donors, donations. So this is a great roll-up comparison report. And then if you want a little more out of this, if you want to sort the data or filter it even further, you should download it. And there's a button here, this little blue disk drive. Is going to prompt you to download it, and you would save it and open it in Excel as a CSV file. I'm going to click this blue tab now to go back to my report results. And I just want to show you that as it runs, the last part to be ready is the download link. So if you know you just want to go straight to the download, sometimes you need to refresh 2 or 3 times until that's available. And by the way, if you have any questions as we go along, feel free to put them in the chat. I'll go back to Reports Classic and I'll run another one. Let's do the participant performance report. So there's a bit more available here in terms of filtering. So for this, you choose one event, and you can filter by participation type. You can filter by team membership. You could filter by when they registered. And you can choose what's in the output. So I think this is good. And then there's a little bit of a sort option. So we can submit that. So again, first it's queued, and then it will be running. Okay, it's already complete, great. So we can view this. And okay, here's a list of all my participants. And you can see when they registered and the details of their fundraising performance. If they paid fees, how much they've raised, and all that. Occasionally with these reports, you might be looking for a certain bit of data that you're not seeing in this view mode. And so my suggestion is always to try downloading it, because sometimes there's more in the downloaded data than on the screen display. Okay, let's go back to the slides there. Oh yeah, this was my cue to give you the demo. Did that, okay. So now we'll talk about Report Writer. You can find that also under Data Management, Reports, and then it's on the smaller Report Writer tab. And Report Writer is, it's great because it lets you customize. So if you've been using Reports Classic and it's not quite giving you what you want, or you feel that there's some noise in the output that you just want to ignore, Report Writer might be for you, because this is where you can build your own report. You can customize it so it's right for you. It's more powerful. It's more flexible. The trade-off for that is it's a little more difficult to set up. It takes some time to learn it. And so I tend to say this is intermediate to advanced. If you have some patience and you've got an afternoon free and you're determined to get this data outputted, you can do it. So I will walk you through the basics of how we work with Report Writer. When you're working with Report Writer, you can, what's so nice about it is you can just include the columns that you want in the data output. To just, if you need to keep it simple, if you need to deliver this to a colleague in another department and they have their own data requirements or hopes and dreams, you can really make them happy by giving them just what they're looking for and not a bunch of other stuff. Sometimes you can see a fuller picture of your TeamRaiser data because there's a lot of data available to choose from. You can also schedule these. So once you really finesse your report and it's perfect and you're happy with it, you can set it to run automatically at on a scheduled basis, such as weekly, Sunday nights or something. When you get into the office Monday morning, the data is ready for you and it sends you the result. Sometimes people struggle to figure out what they want Report Writer to do. Sometimes people want it to tell them everything about a whole TeamRaiser event, and it can, but sometimes that's a lot to ask out of one report. So it's a good idea to think about how you want the data broken down. So do you want, when you get that report, do you want every line to be a person, or do you want every line to be a transaction? If you want every line to be a person, then you might want the TeamRaiser registrations report. That will give you a list of all your TeamRaiser participants and tell you something about their transactions and other stuff. If you want each line to be a monetary transaction, then I would probably recommend a transaction details report for that. And then you can limit that to TeamRaiser transactions, or it could be a TeamRaiser gift details report. So keep in mind too that transactions include any money transacted into Luminate Online, not just your TeamRaiser product. So transactions are donations. They could be registration fee payments. And if you're using other parts of Luminate, you could have e-commerce purchases and other stuff in there that you might need to filter out. Some useful drill downs in Report Writer, and we'll show you these in a moment where these are. If your TeamRaiser uses milestones, there is a milestones report. You could get a list of teams that have not returned from the previous year. You could run a performance by team or performance by event report. If you're sending a lot of coaching email messages, you could run a coaching email analysis report. If your TeamRaiser is integrated with the e-commerce product, there are reports for that. And there's a cross-event registration report. So these are all things that you can't so much get in Reports Classic. So let me switch over and do the demo. So here we're going to go, so I'm already in data management reports, and I'll click on Report Writer. So there are a whole bunch of reports here that this is our internal sandbox. So we've got a bunch of things, and you might also, or you might not. If you want to create a new report, you click on the green button, create a new report. And this is where you make an initial decision on what type of report it is. So if you select TeamRaiser from this list, that's how you can report on your participants and teams. And if you choose transactions, that's where you go to look at money. So let me start with TeamRaiser. And the next thing it will give you is a whole list of possible TeamRaiser reports. So these are starting places because you can customize within these. There are many, many here. So a very common one is the TeamRaiser registrations report. And the descriptions here are helpful. This displays details about each person registered for the event. One registration per row. And then these tell you if it's limited to a single event or not. Some are limited to selected events because they compare. So that's a very common one, TeamRaiser registrations. The TeamRaiser gift details report will show you all the donations transacted within your TeamRaiser events that you select here.
That's a really powerful one and can include several different TeamRaiser campaigns all in one report, so very handy.
Yes, great. What else? Mark, do you have any other favorites among these here?
That's a big one. A lot of these ones at the bottom are around e-commerce, which very few clients actually use e-commerce within TeamRaiser. So if you're kind of curious what that is, we can explain that to you off to the side. But most people aren't doing e-commerce within TeamRaiser. But no, that is an option if you wanted to have participants basically sell items that you offer up. And get donation credit, fundraising credit for those items sold. You can use it that way, so kind of handy, but pretty obscure to take up like 5 reports. But yeah, performance by team, coaching, email constituent performance is definitely, some of those are pretty handy when it comes to reviewing kind of where your marketing's at. But there was actually a question that came up, and I wonder, sorry if I'm going off, I'm sure I'm going off script. But the question was, while we're in here, if we can show how to, I want to run a report that tallies per team the total gifts that were given as team gifts. The total should not include gifts given to individuals on the team. Is there a way to run this kind of report? And the answer is yes. You might have to, I'm not sure if we had a summary, maybe performance by team would do it. And then when you get to the filter page, sorry to kind of hijack this, but yeah, if you select that, if you select that report and go to the next page.
Yeah. I would
let's just default.
Yeah. We'll do that. I know a transactions report can do that, but then you need to filter for just the team gifts.
Right, but so it wouldn't. You could select your fields, but I say let's go ahead and jump down to step 5 for a moment.
Yeah. What you see here, I'm going to scroll past this. All these things in orange are system defaults, pre-selected fields that they recommend you put in the report. But then you can choose your own. I'm gonna go next, and like Mark said, go to step 5. We have to select an event.
Create a filter. That's all right. We won't actually run this thing, so just go ahead and click on create a filter.
Okay.
And then gifts. And then hit that down.
So we're looking for gifts made to teams in this example?
Yeah, so this one doesn't have it. We had to go back to the other one. I'm sorry, I took us down a rabbit hole. We can show you, Christy, it's a good question, but I can show you separately.
I think it's a great rabbit hole because this is really not uncommon when you're learning your way around. And there's so much to know here. I run these with some regularity and I'm still discovering new things. So let me go back to step 1 to select report type. So that is just some.
And I know that gift details did work. Yeah, TeamRaiser gift details did work.
Okay.
So then if you click on next and go down to step 5, sorry to hijack this, but I love this question.
Yeah, it's a good one.
Create a filter.
And then
I think now if we go to gifts.
Gifts.
And then,
okay.
Yep. And then soft credit.
Soft credit type. There we go. TeamRaiser.
And then TeamRaiser team gift. Yep.
Fantastic.
And then that would probably return, 1 transaction per row. This is kind of on the fly that we found this one based on this question. So at least you would have it would filter out so it's just the team gifts that are soft credited to team members. And I would assume there'd be 1 line for each gift, donated to each team. So you could either kind of pivot table that or summarize it off to the side in Excel. There may be a way to do it so it kind of summarizes the team, but I think that gets you most of the way there.
Yeah. I'll teach you something right here at step 6.
Take off on that rabbit hole.
No, I wanted a demo. So this was a good demo here. When you get through these 7 steps, you do need to give it a label. So we'll call this test report for training, team gifts. The description is optional, but often helpful. I'm going to click next. So while this hour is not a complete report writer training webinar, I would like to impart like a key takeaway here for you. Save report. There's this blue save report button at the end of step 7. So if you are kind of switching in between these steps, as we often do, don't forget to save your report, because if you don't right here, you will lose all the changes you made since the last save. So let me find my report. Let me filter by last activity. There it is. Test report for training. So in Report Writer, there are 2 main steps. First, you create it, then you run it. So we just created it. Now we can run it. I don't really know if there's going to be any data in this one. But when you run, there are 5 little steps in the process navigator here. We can kind of buzz through them. This is where you would schedule it. And again, I'd say when you're very happy with the report. So don't start by scheduling it, but after you've run it and your colleagues have looked at it and they like it, when everybody likes it, then come in and you can schedule it to run at a future date and time or on a recurring basis. But we'll run ours immediately. And then we just go next. And this is where you could share it. If you are scheduling it, or if you wanted to do this on a one-time basis, you can select certain admins and they'll receive the results. Oh, I missed something because I was going too fast. Yeah, there was something not in the filter. So sometimes it sends you back to, it says right here, the edit runtime parameters step. So yeah, even though I thought I saved the event selection before, got to do that. So let me select the event because it needs to know what TeamRaiser to key it off of, right? Let me go down to the end and we'll run that. Okay, there was no data found for this one, but I think you would have data for your event. I just had some gifts and they weren't team gifts in my test event.
Let's go through one more, Andrea, if you don't mind. Another way to get to the same thing. We actually just found this. So if you go to Report Writer,
create a new report.
TeamRaiser. Yep. And Team Performance Report. Aptly named, actually. Performance by Team. There it is.
Mark, I'm going to point out also to people that there's a sample that people can view on each one, because when you're shopping around and you're not sure what you need, these pull up the help documentation, and it's a bit small, but it gives you a glimpse here. It looks like,
and I would say, it's very helpful start to look, but there's also fields that you can add and remove. So this time when we go through it, let's go through each of these steps, 1 through 7, and kind of spend a little bit more time on it, because there's just such a wealth. And Report Writer does take a little bit more time, but the good news is once you set it up, you save it, and you can even share with others, and you can even schedule them to run on a regular basis, daily, weekly, or whatever you want to do. So once you have a really solid report, it can be totally set up with the fields that you want, the order you want the fields, and in a later step, I think it's the next step, we don't get there yet, but you can also rename the field. So if you need to take this data and download it and upload it into another platform, maybe an email tool or maybe a separate CRM, you can change the field headers so that they match up with your other platform or your other database. But yeah, you have a lot of control here of what fields you can report on. And if you scroll down, there is one for under gifts by donor. There's a gifts by donor section.
Did I pass it? Oh, there it is. Okay.
You can see all these different and all these different fields, and total not from participants and total from. So if you wanted to show just the total from participants and not from participants, that basically that would be actually from. No, actually that would be for your actual participants participating in that. So there should be another field here as well.
That's interesting. Yeah, you could really, that would help you get a sense of how much they're fundraising versus donating on their own. Right?
Right. So there's definitely a lot of different fields in here, just a ton of stuff. And then if you want to go to the next step.
Okay. This is where we order and rename the columns. So this is, I'll show you some of the cool things that this can do. If you wanted to change the order of the columns in your output, you click and drag these, and every column header could be renamed if you want it to be.
Yeah, really handy stuff. And you can, the sort order, the order that they appear in from, A through Z or however many you have. And then also, she's showing you here the sort order is first sort order, secondary, third level, if you wanted to go that far down. So if you wanted to sort by first by event, they're perfect.
Click next. And then step 5 is filters. So some of these are going to be required. It'll tell you you have to have an event in here. And it says any of the following.
And these are filters, you can set them up. Sorry, you're probably going to say this, Andrea. I should probably just shut up and let you talk. You can set them up, kind of permanently set them up, and you'll also see when she clicks through that you can have it be editable at runtime. So if you want to have certain events in there but be able to update, there's that edit at runtime piece that allows you to change it every time you run it. But if it's always going to be these events, so like you're doing the 2021 season, you can set them up with all your 2021 events in there, and then just not have to edit that every time you run it. Just when you get to 2022, you can just update your events.
Right, so for this one, it says team is any of the following. I mean, we really want it to be all the teams. Let me see if that works, because there would always be new teams forming, possibly. So let's click next. This will be our test team gift report. We'll click next. And then who remembers, what do we do on step 7? We review the criteria summary, and then at the bottom, we click save, not run, save. Okay. So here is this is the one I just created. So in the actions column, we can run that. I hope this doesn't give me an error on this filter, but I'll find out. So we're just reviewing, we're confirming things. We'll run this immediately. Not going to send it to anybody quite yet. Yeah, it did not like that empty filter. So let me go back to letter A, edit runtime parameters, and we will click edit for this team. I want it to show me all the teams, so I need to click more. Okay, there's a checkbox that lets me select all. So let me apply that and finish. Next, and then let's zoom down to the end and we'll run this. So these often take a minute or two. No data. Sorry, everybody. There should be some data
That's
there.
all good.
Yeah, these were test events. But your data would appear here. So
if you go back to edit, oh, sorry, was there anything else to cover there?
No, let's go back. I want to edit the.
Yeah, there was a question that came in that I think we can address by just editing this one. Go to select the columns. And the question was, where do you go to check for participants that are, let me get back to that one. Is there a way to run a report that will show TeamRaiser donors only that are not registered walk participants? We want to capture donors only. And I think that goes back to that area, gifts by donor area, total from, you would deselect total participants, or, you'd be looking at total not from participants, which was right where you were at.
Oh, sorry. Let me go back.
Yeah, you were in there. So onto the.
So here's
scrolling down.
And here's another thing you can. On this screen, there's so much. Use Control F on your keyboard. It's the browser find participant. If you're looking for a word, you can use this filter, by the way. Sometimes I just Control F, so participant. Okay. So this is what you mean here? Mark these two?
Yep, exactly. Yep.
Okay. Okay, should I?
Yeah, I was just showing that to answer that question.
Okay.
There was another question. What does unconfirmed donations mean? And it means, and Andrea, correct me when I get this wrong, if you have it turned on in your event, it's a setting you can set up for allow participants to enter offline gifts that they're going to drop off or send in. And if you have it set up that way and they enter offline gifts in their participant center, anything that has not come through, mailed into your or dropped off at your office and been verified through the staff, the admins, to show that it has been confirmed, will remain unconfirmed. Is there a better way to say that, or did I get that right?
Yeah, I think you got that right. And I would, yes, exactly. Those are self-reported gifts, usually in the form of cash and check, always, I think. these are gifts that participants say they have, but they haven't really turned them into you, the organization. So no, there is ways to see this. It's in a transaction report, but actually in Reports Classic, this is the easiest way to get it. There is an unconfirmed gifts report in Reports Classic. So I recommend running that. And there's also a tab when you're managing your TeamRaiser event that can show you at a glance if you have any and how many. Great question.
Good stuff.
Are there other questions?
Another one just came in. Is there a report for anonymous gifts?
Good question. I'm thinking this might not be the only way, but a way I would probably get to it is a transactions report and do a transaction details report, and then recognition name. Can I type? No, I can't type. You would be sure to include the donor recognition name in your output. Now I'll show all the columns just to show you how that filter works. I know I'm really scrolling fast here, so I apologize, but you'd want to make sure two things. The one, that this field is selected, this TeamRaiser donor recognition name, and then also in your filters for the report that I think you could filter so that field, like if you wanted the output to include only the anonymous donors, then filter it so only records with recognition name equals anonymous are included in the report.
Yep, good idea. Any other questions? Feel free to continue to ask questions, but what else you got?
I think back to that, I would say more often folks would just run their transaction report and include that field and then download it as a CSV and open it in Excel and look for that there.
And then filter, yeah. Could you run reports for offline giving? That was another one. That's a good one.
That's in the transaction report also. So if I'm going to filter on the word offline, there's something else. I think it's gift type. I believe it's this gift type here. Let's show all the columns. And this is why it helps if you got some time and patience to work with Report Writer, because it might not always be totally intuitive to you what the labels or like the column headers are for a bit of data that you want. But once you start running it, so I think the main thing I'd want to impart about this tool here is just to be persistent and keep iterating, because you want to choose your columns and then you want to run it, and then you want to look at the output to see, oh, that makes sense, or oh, I didn't know I could get that in a report. Oh, cool, that's useful. Maybe I'll make a separate one that focuses only on that bit of data. So for in this case, the gift type, I hope I have that right. I think gift type is online versus offline.
Yep.
Yeah,
I
that's
think
not
you're right.
one-time versus sustaining. That's different. So yeah, you could get the exact syntax after you run that, and then you could configure a filter based on that later if you wanted to.
Another question that came in, these are great questions. Are you able to edit the sort order of an existing report in ReportWriter? And yes, once you save a report, you can go in, if you go back to ReportWriter, and let's see what our options are. I can't remember if it was, yeah, you can copy, right? Oh, no, let's not. Yeah. So we have a saved one.
Mm-hmm.
And we can copy the report, and that way then you can change the sort order and to whatever you want. Obviously, you can just go in and edit the report as well if you want to change the sort order, but maybe you want to not mess with the first one if that's one you're using or somebody else is using. Maybe create a copy first and then change the sort order, but that's how you would do it.
Yeah, good idea.
These are great questions. Oh, here's another one. We've had trouble finding a report that will show it all, including the additional questions. And I'm assuming, Lisa, you're referring to the additional registration questions. I'm trying to remember what's the best one there.
Yeah, and if you have several questions, it's all or nothing with those questions. So if you're asking the t-shirt size and how they heard about you, and if they're a cancer survivor, and all these other things, that will be delivered in here as a set of fields. So do that as probably do that as a TeamRaiser registrations report. I think that's most likely. Did that answer the question?
What? Go to the next. I'm trying to think of what field that would be, because I was in the same one and didn't jump out at me the additional questions, but maybe it's labeled something else.
Survey question. No, I think it's survey questions.
Is it survey questions? So that would only be if you have them tied. Well, no. We might have to get back to you on. Look at that. We got all this way. We didn't get stumped yet. And I'm not sure.
Yeah,
if this stumped us or not, but we might need to circle back on that one.
Yes. It's survey questions.
She's saying yes, it's survey questions. Yeah, so it's just finding, and it's not available in all the different reports. So you got to find the right combination that works for you, gets you the fields you want, plus that as an option.
And this is where you see some nuances in how they label things in this product. In Reports Classic, it's called additional questions. In ReportWriter, survey questions. Same thing though.
We often have to run specific date range reports. Can you share which types of reports can contain date range? I think anything in ReportWriter can pretty much have a date range as a filter, right?
Yes, and a lot of the Reports Classic can also. So if you wanted to do, let's say, a participant registration report, I mean, this is very simple here, so it might meet your needs, it might not. If you wanted to find registrations that occurred, I don't know if that's what the questioner was asking about, registrations, or if it was about transactions, but for registrations, you could filter by that. Oh, also donations recorded in a custom date range if you wanted. And yes, ReportWriter can do that as well. You would set that up in the step where with the filters. Let me see if I can show you an example. Step 5, configure filters. I don't know if this is the best one to show you an example on, but if it's a transaction, you would look for a transaction type of field and then transaction date.
I like it. Good stuff. All right. That's all the questions at this point. So let's wrap her up with the summary slides.
Okay. So in summary, just want you to feel empowered that you know where to go in the Luminate product to find the data you're looking for. So we talked about 3 places today. There's that status tab, which is super easy to use, and that's that dashboard. That's in TeamRaiser. You click on Manage, and all the way on the right, it's the status tab. We talked about Reports Classic, the canned reports that are easy to run, and we talked about Report Writer, which is more powerful, but takes some time to learn. And then here's sort of a fun idea you could do on the administrator homepage where you land every time you sign in. If you have a bunch of TeamRaisers or even just one, it's possible to edit that homepage to put some links right at the ready. So here's an example of a little custom thing you could install here. Just to
could you go back to the instance and show that? I think it's really important and grossly underutilized. So whenever you click on Luminate Online and go back to the home page, or whenever you first log in, you get this administrator home page, and it's just, this is me on my soapbox, just about every one of these sessions I try to bring it up. It's a totally configurable home page, totally editable, just like any other page builder page. It's called admin home page in your list of page builder pages, and you can actually drop in S tags, obviously any kind of content you might pictures, happy birthday Fred, whatever you want to put in there. But you can also have different graphs and things brought in and links to specific events to either go into edit or manage or look at the status of events like she set up here. I think it's, again, grossly underutilized. Most people still see that default tools thing that is, you can see kind of at the bottom of the screen. And you can really have complete control over what you do there, and that way you have more of a dashboard kind of feel and less clicks to get to where you need to go. If you're doing processes, your daily flow makes you click 3-5 times to get to where you need to go. Drop a link on your home page, and you'll save time. And I think it's really helpful.
Great. And there was a question, how do we create this? In Page Builder, look for admin homepage.
Yeah, so if you go over to content, if you wanted to show them real quick.
Sure. Content, Page Builder, admin, just search for admin. It's admin homepage, all one word. Click manage, never click
like any other
content.
Yep,
Yeah.
Exactly.
And
Never
then,
edit right from there, because then you're editing the live page. So you want to make a copy first.
Yeah, identify the active version in bold green and click copy.
And then you can put in different components, HTML or what have you. It's like any other type of page builder page. So you really can useful than the default one that's there.
Yeah, there are actually a whole bunch of little content boxes that you could purpose and work with here. Okay.
Good stuff.
All right. And I think we're just about at the end of our presentation there. So I really want to thank everybody.
Thank you so much. Yeah, sorry, Andrea. Thank you so much for your expertise. Despite my going off the rails and going in all different directions, you got us there. And feel free to ask us any questions. We're happy to help. This is a very general session. We know it could, very specific questions and a lot of very specific things you're doing. Hopefully we answered some of those here today, but never hesitate to reach out. And if we can support you in any way, we're happy to do that. And I just want you to know that there's, take the time, dig in, have a look around is really the key out of all this. And don't be intimidated by what you find, and never hesitate to shout with any questions. But again, there was one more question. Does that update everyone on my team's homepage or just my personal homepage? You can set up different security categories, but by default, when you edit the admin homepage, it's set up for all admins to see that when they log in, so it would be everybody. But if you had different departments that you wanted to see different things based on their specific roles, like maybe they're doing email marketing versus event production and management, you might have TeamRaiser links versus email links, or maybe both. So it is by default set up so everybody will see what you've edited there. Anyways, sorry, going off on that last minute tangent, but again, thank you, Andrea, for walking us through all that, and thank you everyone for joining us, and have a great Thanksgiving.
Thank you. Have a great Thanksgiving and a great week.